Well, hello, nerds and dorks and geeks on the internet. It's time for some state of Turing. And if this is your first day today, you made it to the right place twice in a row. Okay, you did kick off. Now you're here. Great, good job. And if you're in mod 2, 3, 4, etc., welcome back. If you already graduated, then thanks for hanging out with us a little bit this morning. I will give you a forewarning that this is a state of Turing that involves some breakout conversations. So get yourself together. You got a maybe minute or a couple minutes if you need to finish your breakfast or fix your face or what have you. And then you're going to have some chats with some other people. So state of Turing. I was talking with a friend this weekend and they were asking me, do you ever reuse state of Turing? And I've actually never reused the state of Turing. Maybe I should, like by the fifth or sixth one, you would not know. But still write them all from scratch. So I think this is maybe like our, I don't know, 80th state of Turing or something like that. Over this intermission break, I was thinking about plans and how they change specifically for you, whether you're a student or an alum today, you're here because plans changed. When you were a little kindergartner and people asked you what you wanted to be when you grow up, you probably didn't say software developer. That might not have even existed when you were in kindergarten, like me. When you were born, there wasn't a parent that said, one day, I hope she could be on Zoom for hours upon hours every day, typing all those little weird symbols above the numbers on the keyboard. Essentially, there was a plan A for you. Other people had ideas of how things were going to go. And then you came along, you started developing some free will of your own. I was thinking today about the experience of parenting. Cat's on my screen. I know Cat knows this well, where you first have this darling little baby, and then pretty soon they have to just exert their will about everything, about what clothes they'll wear, about what foods they'll eat, about where they're gonna sit, stand, all that stuff. And it turns out that people just want to make their own decisions, even if the decisions you make for them are good ones. They're just like, nah, fuck your decisions. I will make a different one. At some point, you were 5, 8, 10 years old, and on some little about me exercise in your elementary grades, you proudly proclaimed your future. I'm Jeff. I have 3 brothers. My favorite color is green. And when I grow up, I'm going to be an astronaut or whatever it was. It probably wasn't what a parent had dreamed for you, but at that point, it was yours. And as you grew up a few more years, reality started to set in. There are like a dozen astronauts or 2 dozen astronauts or something and a billion first graders. It's probably not going to be me. And as we get into our teenage years, we start to understand other people's experience just a little bit. Your vision starts to broaden out from just yourself and your needs and wants in that immediate moment. As reality starts to set in, you realize that one of your friends has a little bit fancier clothes and sneakers, and their vacations are to all-inclusive resorts. Maybe that another of your friends makes use of what they have, and their vacations are road trips to visit friends and family. You start to see, as you get older, what it's like when one of your family members is struggling and has maybe used up most of their chances with the rest of the family. And for many folks, you realize what it's like when you see one of your own parents under pressure, trying to connect one paycheck to another, maybe challenged by their health as they age, and dealing with the loss of your grandparents. There's a wonder of childhood where you're not constrained by reality. You can imagine being whatever you want to be without questioning how to get there. And then as the reality of life sets in, those choices get a lot harder. Those prices seem a lot higher when you actually have to pay them. It's all a collection of trade-offs. Will I do this or that? Do I have the opportunity to work hard? And more importantly, do I have the will to do so? What if I don't want to? Should I trade joy today for progress tomorrow or enjoy this moment I'm in right now? What if I don't? Back when a parent's plan A was made, they didn't even really know you. When you spitballed some plan B, you didn't know you either. Maybe around plan C or D, you had a little understanding of yourself and some context of the world. By plan E, maybe you found a little success in life. Maybe you'd taken some losses. Plan F was probably still a little idealistic. Maybe plan G was fulfilling but not sustainable. Fast forward a few letters and you get to today. Maybe you've exhausted the alphabet. You're on to like A, D, E, F, etc. Like a spreadsheet with too many columns. It's okay that coming here to Turing, entering this field as a software developer was not plan A. It wasn't even an early plan. It's probably plan M or later. I want to send you to some breakout rooms here in just a minute to talk a little bit with each other about how plans change and how you came to be here. We'll see how my Zoom copy. Oh, my copy and paste is working great today. Zoom can be sometimes unpredictable. I'm going to give you first a note that I recommend a round robin, not just like one person answering 3 questions, but everybody answering 1 question and then doing a second round with the second question, etc. With these 3 questions, I'm going to assign automatically, and how many people? We got 98, so we're going to need about 24 rooms or so here. And give you about 4 folks. If you're not a student, then I invite you to interpret questions to fit you in your scenario. All right, I'm going to open these, and I'm going to give you about 12, 15 minutes. I'm going to bop around a little bit. So let's say ballpark 9:21, 9:22 is when we'll come back. Laura, it didn't put you in a breakout room? The heck? Come on, technology. I'm going to send you over here. All right, we're back. That was part 1 of breakout rooms. You'll go back with the same group a little bit later, so you can some follow-up questions and also, no, maybe you want to write people's name down, people you talk to, things you want to follow up on. So plans change. It's easy to kind of say like, oh, plans change, like, oh well, kind of like they're a bag of garbage you might take out to the can. Like it was something important to you once, it gave you some value once, and now it's just in your way. Now it just has to get out of your life. But I think there's a lot more to it. At the core of a plan is usually some degree of hope. Maybe it's some kind of dream. When the plan changes, then does it mean that the hope is just lost too, that it's like thrown out in the trash? Does the dream necessarily get extinguished? When a plan doesn't work out, I think we usually feel a sense of loss. And I imagine in discussing some of the places you've been, places you've come from, even with your peers in similar situations, you probably weren't like, ha ha, like, oh, this last plan was so stupid. It was like a little more somber in a way, right? Of like, there was something to it. There was something I believed in. There was something I worked towards. And like it ended up either it didn't come true, I couldn't make it true, I didn't want it to be true if it was true, like all those kinds of things. So I don't think we look back at those old plans usually and say good riddance. And then it makes me wonder, like, do we almost owe our past selves some apology to say, like, sorry, I couldn't live up to what you hoped for, or couldn't achieve what you wanted to achieve? I hope in the breakout conversation, maybe you shared a few laughs. Uh, Once in a while, we do look back at those old plans and say, like, well, that was just a bad idea. I pursued it and it turned out, no, that was not the thing for me. There's this flaw with plans, really with all plans, in that we can, as an individual, we can influence the future, but we can't predict it. You can want, you can work, you can try, but you can't determine the outcomes. The outcomes are unknown until they exist, until it's done. So then we're always trying to make plans from a place of uncertainty. We're not really sure about the environment we're operating in. We're not really sure about the support we can or can't rely on. And I think most of all, we're really not too sure about ourselves. And a big part of like growing up is learning about ourselves, accepting, hopefully accepting ourselves, and like figuring out how to work with what we've got. When it comes to making a life for ourselves, sometimes a new plan is like a fresh sheet of paper. It's got a ton of possibilities and also daunting emptiness. Once in a while, we start over like that, but most of the time, I think it's really a remix. It turns out that that last plan had some good parts and some maybe not so good parts. The new plan takes some of those same core principles and combines them differently, imagines them differently to create some kind of new vision that has the same heart. As we move from plan C to plan F to plan M, the empirical evidence tells us that we're stupid. You made plans in the past, they didn't work out. Why do you think this one's going to be anything different? Along the way, I think we get tempted, allured, drawn in by the idea of like good enough. And I really personally struggle with like good enough. Um, if we imagine some scale of happiness, fulfillment from 0 to 100, I think good enough is like 60%. Maybe good is 70%, great is 80%, amazing is 90%, and completely unrealistic perfection at 100%. But that good enough at about 60%, I hate it. Now that I'm well into my 40s, I've thought a lot about the people I have in my life, have had in the past, how some come and go, some stay for a season, some stay forever. I imagine it's similar for you, wherever, whatever decade of life you find yourself in. And I think sometimes about that friend or those friends or those siblings or what have you who lives like good enough is good enough. In a job they don't like that much, but it's good enough. Living in a place they don't like that much, but it's good enough. Maybe in personal relationships that don't spark a whole lot of joy, but they're good enough and better than being by yourself. And yet you look at them and see their potential. You believe that if they did a little bit of this and a little bit of that, they could get to good. Maybe with a bit of self belief, some support, and a little bit of opportunity, they could get to great. But somehow it just never comes together. That friend could be any one of us. It's easy to get stuck in a rut and believe that wherever you are is the best you can reasonably do. But that doesn't make it true. One of my favorite things about our work here together at Turing is that nobody made you do it. In fact, some of your friends and family were probably pretty skeptical. Are you sure this is a good idea? What if it doesn't work out? Isn't your job that you already have good enough? Why is this going to be any different than that last plan you cooked up? It sounds like skepticism, but I think I try and remind myself in those scenarios, it's rooted in care. They've struggled and they've seen you struggle. They've failed and they've seen you fail. They don't want you to go through that again. So why don't you just like try and avoid those negatives and stick with something that's a little safer? Maybe something that's good enough. The opportunity to make a new plan is itself a privilege. Making a new plan doesn't have to be about giving up. It's really like an acknowledgement that we're learning. We're learning, growing, changing. You probably never seriously pursued that first grade dream because along the way you figured out it wasn't going to be a fit for you. You left your first job because you had learned more, had more skills, had bigger dreams than when you started out. Maybe at this point in life, you've left a first career or even a second. It would be tempting to look at it as a reset back to square one, but that's radically untrue. You're smarter now. You understand yourself better. In fact, you're probably a new and different self than you were in the past. You understand the context better that you're operating in, the world around you, the network you have, the people you can count on, and maybe sometimes those things that you can't rely on. And at the same time, the core ideas are still there. You still care about many of the same things. You still believe in the same direction for yourself, your community, your family, the world, whatever. And then making a new plan is deciding to take a risk. Even though there might be struggles, there might be failures and doubts, some of those fears very likely will come true. But you decide to make the change anyway, because you're a little bit smarter now. You can see things a little bit differently, and you're not going to be the one who says good enough is good enough. Breakout room 2. Same folks. I'm going to give you 3 questions here. Oh, they didn't come out numbered this time, randomly. All right. I'm going to send you back to these rooms, and I'm going to give you about like 10 minutes. Come back at 9:45. So if I find my window, breakout room, open all rooms. Thanks for having those conversations and making time, putting energy into connecting with each other. I think it's important to remember that our stories are each unique and also share so much overlap. You got here this morning because you believe in making something new, new of yourself, new of your career, maybe something new of your whole life. Even though the outcomes are not known, there are plenty of reasons to be skeptical, worried, uncertain. And when you decide to push on anyway, that's bravery. Could it be foolishness? Sure. I think they're really 2 sides of the same coin. When we fight for something we believe in and still fail, it looks foolish. You should have known better. You tried to fly too close to the sun. Didn't you know bad things could happen? Didn't you understand the risks? Didn't you remember how things had gone sideways in the past? Did you really think you're the kind of person who does things like that? How could you be so foolish? And that's hard to sit with. Disappointment, frustration, lost opportunity, embarrassment coming from maybe people we care about, maybe from our inescapable self. You take that exact same situation, and when you push through, you find a way, you make it work. Then those same voices say, damn, you don't give up. You must believe in something. You saw those risks and you did it anyway. I wish more people could do what you do. You didn't accept good enough, even when there were fears, even when things were hard, even when supports let you down or failure looked imminent. You could have stopped. You could have turned back. Maybe you should have, but you didn't. You were brave enough to believe in yourself. I hope you have a great first day today, wherever you are in your Turing journey. I hope today you get to look back at some old plans and maybe laugh a little bit. I hope you look back at your former self and can thank them for all the things they learned the hard way. That past self was probably doing the best they could with the situation they had and the knowledge and skills they were ready to use. You couldn't be here today without them. All the good parts of life today are because of them. So don't forget that. I hope you look forward and make some new plans that are uncertain and maybe even unlikely. And most of all, as you get into your work today, I hope you look at yourself and recognize that you're not a person who settles for good enough. You're much too brave for that. Thanks. Have a good day and talk to you soon.